Fox News alert, we're now entering a new phase of the war.
The operation is over. Epic Fury, as the president notified Congress, we're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom.
The U.S. military's new primary objective, the Hormuz Dome.
As a direct gift from the United States to the world, we have established a powerful red, white, and blue dome over the Strait. American destroyers are on station, supported by hundreds of fighter jets, helicopters, drones, and surveillance aircraft, providing 24/7 overwatch for peaceful commercial vessels, except Iran's, of course.
Iran had been holding the Strait hostage, no longer. This is now a hostage rescue mission.
These innocent sailors and commercial crew members have been stranded out at sea because Iran is conducting something that's not just criminal. It's criminal for sure, but it's desperate and destructive, this blockade of the Straits of Hormuz. You start running out of food, you start running out of potable water, essential supplies, and they're at the mercy of this piracy. And what it is, it's piracy.
22,000 mariners have been trapped in the Gulf on 1,500 ships for 2 months, and we're coming to save them. Yesterday, we busted into the Pirates' Cove. Our 2 guided missile destroyers, the USS Truxtun and the USS Mason, sailed right through the strait without a scratch, and 2 American cargo ships squirted right out. Now, hundreds of ships from around the world are lining up and ready to bust loose. The Pentagon promises safe passage for all ships except for Iran's. We're watching from high in the sky.
CENTCOM has established an enhanced security area on the southern side of the strait that is now protected by U.S. land, naval, and air assets to help defeat further Iranian aggression against commercial shipping. More than 100 fighters, attack aircraft, and other manned and unmanned aircraft synchronized by the 82nd Airborne Division are in the air 24 hours a day, providing defensive overwatch for the enhanced security area.
Seahawk choppers and Apache helicopters are providing close air cover, locking in on any targets. F-16 Falcons, too. Sitting outside the strait, one of our finest carriers, the USS Bush, hosting 60 aircraft on deck and pulling double duty, also enforcing the embargo. Every vessel's free to sail in and out except those coming to and from Iran. The total number of ships blocked in by the quarantine? We're now at 51. Here's a sailor aboard the USS Murphy delivering a warning. There's nothing the Persians can do to stop it.
They've got 3 or 4 guys. They got a little machine gun in front. They're shooting at one of our ships that's meant for it. It bounces, they don't even know they're being shot at. And then they take it out with an Apache helicopter in about 2 seconds. They go, Apache, Apache, ship, northwest, 10 degrees. Turns around, boom. I don't like that, you know? You lose people. All these people, it's so unnecessary.
The president says the Iranian Navy's been reduced to a hollowed-out band of pea shooters just riding on a bunch of rusted-out Boston whalers. Remember the report about the Iranians strapping mines to dolphins? Well, the War Department, they got a kick out of that one.
Can you kind of clarify these reports of kamikaze dolphins that we've heard about?
I haven't heard the kamikaze dolphin thing. It's like sharks with laser beams, right?
And I can't confirm or deny whether we have kamikaze dolphins, but I can confirm they don't.
We're only going to fire when fired upon. This is purely defensive operation, guaranteeing free navigation in international waters. We're not even operating in Iranian water or airspace.
This is not an offensive operation. This is a defensive operation. And what that means is very simple. There's no shooting unless we're shot at first. I know a number of those fast boats have now been targeted and will continue to be if they pose a threat to our forces. We'll shoot down drones, we'll shoot down missiles, but it's defensive in nature. This is defensive.
The Trump administration's being very clear. Epic Fury and Project Freedom are 2 separate and distinct missions. Have the Iranians dispatched a half-dozen pirates from the Mosquito fleet with small arms fire trying to harass our Navy? Yeah. Have they fired off a few drones and missiles at our ally? Yeah. But they didn't hit a thing. They can't. The Pentagon says it didn't even qualify as a ceasefire violation because it was so minuscule and ineffective. Raising Cane says it was probably just a bunch of low-level kinetics and the Iranians are just grasping at straws.
They've fired at U.S. ships several times in the last 24 hours. What do they need to do to violate the ceasefire?
Well, you'll find out, because I'll let you know. They know what to do, and they know what to do. And they know what not to do, more importantly.
The Iranian response to the U.S. blockading the Strait has been so weak that we're not even really taking it seriously. In fact, Hegseth suggested it came from rogue lieutenants cut off from command and control. And Iranian negotiators were furious because it exposes their weakness. A former Navy SEAL told Primetime last night that the Iranians with AK-47s on fast boats didn't even want to leave port. It's a suicide mission, but their commander sent them to die by Apache gunfire. Rubio says they should all be fitted for straitjackets.
The time's come for Iran to make a sensible choice. And it's not easy for them to do that, obviously, because they have a fracture in their own leadership system. And apart from that, I mean, the top people in that government are, to say the least, they're insane in the brain.
It takes a special type of beast to die in a bunker. These freaks haven't had a breath of fresh air in 8 weeks. Their so-called supreme leader's gay, has one leg, no lips, and a team of Persian surgeons are stockpiling anesthesia because they're about to give him a facelift. They haven't been paid in 2 Fridays, and a block of cheese costs 9 million rials.
Iran is seeing 50% inflation. They've moved money from their sovereign
Their
wealth.
economy is crashing.
Would you allow their financial system then to fail?
Well, I guess so, because we're making it fail, right?
Is that what it takes?
I hope it fails.
Is that what it takes?
You know why? Because I want to win.
General Jack Keane thinks the country's ripe for revolution and says the CIA's already setting the table. The main challenge? The bad guys are the ones with the guns.
Do you plan to arm them soon?
Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, people say, why aren't they protesting? They want to protest, but they don't have any guns. So you could have 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 sick people with guns. And when they start shooting them right between the eyes and you see a guy fall and another one fall and you have no guns, very few people would be able to stand there and do it. I mean, I understand it. I tell them not to.
But the president might not need to arm and overthrow. We might be closer to a deal than we think. This just in. Fox News alert, the president says based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed. We suspect the president is letting the Iranians save face. The enemy just yesterday said they controlled the Strait. That was obviously a lie. And watching the Americans escort ship after ship out of the Gulf and them not being able to do anything about that was going to be humiliating. Not only were they going to lose whatever military prestige they had left in the region, their negotiators weren't going to be able to fight for their position after they lost their last bargaining chip. The commander-in-chief must believe that the Iranians are serious about surrendering if he's going to pause Project Freedom for the sake of a deal. Because you could also continue Project Freedom during the negotiations. You know, you do want to get these foreign ships moving. The president must know what he's doing. And we're about to find out how insane in the brain the regime really is. The choice is theirs.
It could be one that leads them to reconstruction, to prosperity, and to stability, and to not posing a threat to the world. The alternative is growing isolation, economic collapse, and ultimately total defeat. I know what the right choice is for Iran. I hope that the people over there making decisions will make the right one.
The Iranians realize they're not dealing with Barack Obama. They're not going to string us along for 2 years. John Kerry hands them a check, and they make a promise they know they'll break.
He was giving them cash. He sent plane loads of Boeing 757, took the seats out, and put green cash, $1.7 billion in the plane. Every bank in Virginia, D.C., and Maryland was stripped of their cash. And after giving them tens of billions of dollars, they screwed Obama, okay? That's not the way we play. No, we do it the old-fashioned way.
This is why they tried to kill him. Remember, the Iranians were caught planning an assassination. But now, they've never been under this much pressure. And the United States knows it. Nearly 3/4 of Americans say Iran is losing. Even 60% of Democrats agree. When you have the Democrats agreeing with Trump, that's when you know it's over.
They should wave the white flag of surrender. In hockey, they say, uncle, right? When are they gonna cry uncle?
Are the Iranians going to cry uncle before American drivers? Stocks did hit another record high today, and oil was down $4 a barrel, but prices at the pump were high, $4.50 a gallon. Will it go higher? Well, we're about to find out. The president says it's going to go down soon, and the Secretary of State says, imagine the alternative.
If Iran had a nuclear weapon and they decided to close the straits and make our gas prices like $9 a gallon or $8 a gallon, we wouldn't be able to do anything about it because they have a nuclear weapon. And a nuclear-armed Iran could do whatever the hell they want with the straits, and there's nothing anyone would be able to do about it. That's the world none of us want to leave behind. It won't happen under this president's watch, but some future president and the future Americans will have to deal with this. So just one more example of why these guys can never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon.
DJ Marco makes a good point, but that is just theoretical for a lot of people. And the president knows he promised this was going to be a quick excursion, and it has been. But he's not going to be pressured or slow-walked into a bad deal. Wiping out the Iranian threat is a gift to the next generation of Americans and sets the United States up for a healthy and wealthy 21st century. The president appears to be very committed to taking care of the Iranian nuke program once and for all.
They really shouldn't test the will of the United States, at least not under President Donald Trump. He has proven time and again that he will back up what he says. And if they test him, ultimately they will lose. The hard way, the easy way, the long way, the short way, they will lose.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.